It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So we're going to talk about two things in this video. We're going to talk about the horrible terror attack on the synagogue in Manchester, my neck of the woods. A lot of my family live in that area. They're not Jewish, but so they wouldn't have been in the synagogue, but they're literally just around the corner from there, so a lot of them, or some of them. Just a terrible thing. We're going to have a little talk about it. We're going to try and tone down everything. Why do people hate each other so much in this world? Anyway, we're going to talk about that. What can be done? Is it that as the war in Israel had something to do with that particular attack? I think definitely it has. Where does the hate stop? Everybody hating each other because they've got different religion, different colour skin, different culture. Where's the acceptance gone that we're all different? I don't know, why can't people just stop killing each other? Of all, obviously the people there in the synagogue, they were just, carrying out their religion. It was Yom Kippur, the very important day in the Jewish calendar, and a lot of people didn't, because you're not supposed to use your phones and things like that, are you? So a lot of people didn't even know about it all day. Because of the sort of rules, if you like, around Yom Kippur. And I don't know a lot about it. I'm not saying that I do. There may be some of you out there that are Jewish and might be able to educate me a bit more. But yeah, it's just, everybody should be able to practice their religion in safety. Everybody, if they have a religion, and people should be allowed not to have a religion if they don't want one. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to go over to Australia, and we're going to talk about evil Erin, the mushroom murderess, who is going to torture her victims' families, her victims and her victims' family a little bit more. And it's thought she's going to register an appeal very soon. And guess who she's contracted to sort of speak in her defense? A human rights lawyer. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you? Human rights. What about the human rights of the people that she murdered? Anyway, so we're going to talk about that as well. But first of all, we're going to talk about the events in Manchester. Please be respectful in the chat to other religions, other cultures, etc. We can't blame a whole religion for the actions of one person, because then we'd be just like that person, wouldn't we? If you're going to blame one religion because somewhere over the other side of the world there's a war going on that you think is wrong, so you're going to blame the whole of that, the whole of the Jews because it's Israel in Gaza. That's wrong. So just as it's wrong to blame all Muslims for what the actions of one man. So anyway, so we'll be respectful in the chat. Everyone's entitled to give their views, but I know religion and politics and that always incites strong feelings. We have our strong feelings, but we respect each other's views on this channel. And I'll just be removing anyone who's not respectful. I won't even be mentioning them. They'll just be removed. I won't give them any attention by mentioning anything they've said or whatever. So just so you know that, because I know religion and politics always creates quite a fierce mix, doesn't it? So yeah, have your views, but don't be disrespectful to any religion, any person, etc. Anyone else's views. Just put your view there. What was it they said? Attack the argument, not the person. Be respectful. Anyway, most of my regular chatters know that. The people that might come on this live and say horrible things won't be regular chatters. So, it'll be adios to them. Anyway, before we start, I'm going to put my banner on. Say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Special thank you to my members. We didn't get our members live last night. His number one son is not very well. I presume he's going to be okay today, but you know, he won't be getting out of bed till about 4 o'clock, so I don't know till then, but I think so. I mean, he really was poorly, and it's rare that he is poorly. He never misses work, so I can presume that he is really poorly. So I had to look after him, make him some chicken soup and things like that. Yeah, so instead I was sort of glued to all this unfolding at the synagogue. I mean, I probably could have done the live, but I didn't want to be I don't like to be interrupted. So we're going to do the members live tonight instead. We're going to talk about some nostalgia. We're going to go back to a time when it felt like it didn't feel like everything. It was such a crazy world. And we're going to have a laugh, and we're going to have a bit of a light sort of, you know, and I'm sort of glad in a way that we didn't have the live last night, because probably would have ended up talking about the synagogue attack, because it was emergent, so significant. And of course, it's my neck of the woods. So I think we wouldn't have been able to avoid talking about it. Whereas I think tonight, because we've talked about it, we won't have to talk about it. We want to talk about something lighter. We just want, it's like, you know, we want to sort of a bit of escapism, don't we? That's what we'll be doing tonight in the members. So thank you for being a member. What else do I want? Oh, thank you to everyone who sent me a Ko-fi or PayPal me or sent me nice email or nice comments, nice messages. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who watches my channel. Okay, now I want to say hello to you lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. I understand you don't like to come into chats, no problem. Hi, replay crew. Thank you for watching again. And now I'm going to come into the chat and talk to you guys who do put your head over the parapet and come into the chat. And thank you for that, because you interact in my chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's very important as well. And that's 3 ways you can help. I don't mean 3 ways, not 3 ways. 3 ways you can support this channel if you enjoy watching this channel is to like and subscribe. And those are gratis, free, no dinero. So, you know, please go ahead and do that. Let me put up my little like and subscribe button actually while I remember it. Yeah. Now I'm going to leave that up a little while just to remind people, because I didn't put a pin message. Often I put a pin message, but I didn't. Okay, so let's have a look. Hope you're all well. Let me know how you all are this morning. Hi, Julie. Yeah, I'll find out later when he gets up if he's feeling better. I hope so. It's just like a chest infection. Well, if he didn't, you know, not smoking might help, but there you go. It's his life to live, isn't it? Hi, David. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Daniel. Happy Friday. Thank you. Hi, Bluebell. Hope you're well. Hi, Tracy. Hope you'll all be there in the members tonight, and we'll make, you know, we're going to have some fun tonight, I think. Just, we need it, don't we? We need something lighter, don't we? The 60s, David. The 60s. The 60s. I was only 2. It's like, in fact, no, I was only just born at the beginning of the 60s. Not the 60s were the best times. The 80s were the best times. The 80s. Well, that maybe we can talk about that tonight, because we're going to talk about nostalgia. What were the best times? I mean, there were, you know, there's always things. I do think there were bad things happening even then, but the thing, I think the difference today is there's a lot of hate. I think there's a lot more hate now than there was in the world in general, but certainly in like in the Western world, isn't there? There's a lot more hate, intolerance. I always remember Britain Obviously, I haven't lived in Britain for a long time, but it was so much more tolerant than it is now. The hate that I see, and maybe maybe it's because we see it all on social media, whereas we didn't see it before. Oh, forgot my tea. Hang on, I've got to take the tea bag out. I don't want it getting too cold. I don't like cold tea. Get my tea bag out. What was I going to say? Yeah. I do think a lot of it is because we get to hear too many things, really. I mean, obviously, Manchester to me is a relevant place and to British people. But, if things that happen over the other side of the world, sometimes things pop up that happen, I don't know, in miles away, but not even in sort of Western democracies. And I think, did I really need to know about that? It's very sad, and I'm sorry to hear that, but is it really necessary that I knew about that because it's brought my energies down, so sometimes you just think, and of course a lot of it is designed to make you miserable. A lot of the news is designed to make you miserable. I've noticed lately there's a lot of, they're trying to almost get you to not go out the door, because anything could happen to you. Not to travel, not to do this, not to do that. I do think that's a form of social control as well, scaring you to death. So you're scared to go on a train, or you're scared to go on an airplane, or you're scared to go and practice your religion. But these sort of lone wolf terrorist attacks from either side, because sometimes it's Christians that are attacked, sometimes it's Muslims that are attacked. That's the other thing that we have to remember. Extremism isn't only for one religion, one culture. There's a lot of extremists out there. Most of the shootings lately, like in America, Charlie Kirk, he was shot by a sort of a report, it wasn't shot by a Muslim, it wasn't shot by, so, there's same, what's the other case that we've looked, Erin on the train, the guy was an American citizen. So it's not all about culture and religion and that, but there is so much hate. People are so hateful, aren't they, to each other? Have we always been like that, but you just didn't see it because it wasn't on social media? Do you think people have always been so hateful as that? Against for people's sexuality or for people's, so I don't remember that. Like when I was at school, I had friends of all different cultures. I never even thought about it. It's like I think about it now, but I went to a comprehensive school in Manchester, right in the middle of a council estate, and they were all, they were every religion, but you never even really thought about their religion. Didn't even, just, they were just my friends. Like I had friends of all colours, all creeds. Now I think about it and I think, it was a right mixture of, but at that time I didn't even think of it like that. I didn't think, I've got friends of all different colours and religions. They were just people. Never even thought about their religion or anything like that. In fact, some of my friends went about, I don't even know what their religion was. I mean, sometimes it's obvious, isn't it? Obviously, so so I feel for sort of people whose religion is obvious, because they're the ones that are likely to get targeted, aren't they? When you get Orthodox Jews who wear the hats and have the ringlets, they're clearly Jewish. They can't hide it, but then you do get other Jewish people, you wouldn't even know that they were Jewish. And same with Muslims and things. The women, straight away they're Muslim because they're wearing a hijab. So they must be terrified to go out sometimes. Just it's a hate-filled world. It's horrible. It is really horrible. Bluebell was a twinkle in her parents' eyes in the 60s. Yeah. David, you're not that old. Weren't you born in the 60s? Yes, Paul. I've been watching. Hi, Paul. I've been watching on Sky News an interview with a guy who's supporting the Palestinian people. You know, but this is it. You cannot attack people just because someone over. You know, there are horrible people in that religion. You know, and you cannot generalize people. I don't like generalizations of people. I'm getting that a little bit now here in Spain, which I never got before. You know, that woman that said those horrible things to me, called me a wanker, told me to get back to my own country, said that foreigners only come to Spain to murder or to steal. That's how it feels to be attacked just because of the way you look, because I can't hide. I don't look Spanish. Nobody's going to think I'm Spanish by looking at me. So, you know, you can't hide it. It's really quite scary. I mean, that wasn't that scary because it was an old lady with a walking stick, for God's sake. But yeah, if that would have been a young guy, you know, because there's a lot of far-right extremism in Spain as well. There are, you know, there is the party Vox that is anti-foreigners. You know, and once you're a foreigner, or, you know, I mean, I've lived here 30 years. I mean, when do you stop being a foreigner? I mean, this attacker in Manchester, he's been in Britain since he was a child. He's Syrian descent, but he literally has been in Britain since he was a child. How did he get radicalized? You know? Yeah. It's very... you know, everybody's different. To me, you have to take people at face value. That's like hating all women or hating all men or hating all anything. You can't just hate someone. You know, these labels that we put on people. You hate them because they're a Muslim. You hate them because they're a Jew. You hate them because they're, I don't know, whatever, MAGA, or then the MAGAs hate the liberals. Everybody's different. You know, we are all unique. We're like snowflakes. I know calling someone a snowflake is these days is an insult, but we are like snowflakes because all of us are unique and different. Nobody is exactly the same. And this is what I said, look, you know, I could agree with you. When I say you, I mean any of you about one thing. I might not agree with you about something else. That's okay. We're not clones. You know, we're not all, we can have different opinions. Doesn't mean to say, as long as we're not hurting anybody, doesn't mean to say we're wrong, you're right, or you're right and we're wrong, or vice versa. Doesn't, you know, and we're complex. You know, I can be left wing on some things, what people would call left wing. I don't like that. That's a label as well. You know, but there might be some things that I agree with that you might associate more with right-wing sort of views. I'm not anything. I am me. I am Vicky Marie. I have my views. I don't conform to, you know, I'm not this, I'm not that. I have my views. And people either agree with me or they don't. And I don't care. I respect their views as well. As long as they're not disrespectful or violent or whatever. I don't agree with any violence towards anyone. So, yeah, we're complex. We're complex. Human beings are very, very complex, aren't they? Very, very complex. And this whole situation is complex. So, first of all, I just want to have a look at... So both the victims have been named, haven't they? So it's Adrian Daulby, 53, and Melvin Cravitz, 66. These are the two people, the two Jewish men that were killed. But a photo, only one photo has been released up to when I started this. Only one of the victims' actual photo has been released. We haven't had the photo of the other victim. And this is Melvin Cravitz, who was 66. Bless him. So the full, I mean, there's still so many more details to come out. We don't know all the details. So why we've not had a photo of Adrian, I'm not sure. Maybe, you know, his family don't want to give a photo. I don't know. Who knows what the reason is? But this is one of the victims. We don't have a photo yet of the other victim. And this, of course, is the perpetrator. So the perpetrator, this is him actually at the scene. Now you can see he's got that a belt around his waist that looks as if it's got bombs. It didn't have bombs, but that's obviously a deliberate thing, because that made the police, of course, you know, they had to be even more careful about how they dealt with him, because they didn't know if he was going to set off a suicide bomb or whatever. But apparently he used a car and a knife to actually kill his victims. So there's more details emerging about him, and he had a Twitter account, which, believe it or not, his name was Jihad. Now, I didn't know, I don't know if you knew, I didn't know Jihad was a name, but apparently it is. It's an Arabic name. This apparently is his Twitter account, Jihad Al Shamie. And of course, a lot of people say Al Sham. I mean, you know, is this, some people already saying that this is like a psyops of some kind? You know, honestly, I just don't know anymore. But I think that's a bit disrespectful to the people that are dead, you know, and their families, Adrian and Melvin. So this is his Twitter account. This is supposedly the Twitter account. He's got a picture of these two kids on there. I don't know if they're his children, you know, which makes him, if he has got children, makes him even more selfish. I don't know who these boys are. And then, of course, his account, that is in Arabic, but so not speaking Arabic, I have no clue what that says. I was looking for... Sorry, I was looking for, oh, it's got 19 comments there. Let's see. Arab fatigue, oh, nice. Oh, nice comments. So I thought the comments might have been from his friends when he put the thing up, but they're not. They're nasty comments. You know, two wrongs don't make a right. I don't like that. You know, just because of what one person does, don't think it's right to do horrible things as well, is it? And this is really the crux of it all, in my opinion. You know, if you look at it's a very complex situation, isn't it? So, you know, I don't want to upset anybody, but when you look at what's happening in Gaza, which started off with that horrible attack from Hamas, I mean, you've just got this intractable situation, because you've got Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a monster, in my opinion. And then you've got Hamas, who are also monsters. And who's suffering is the people stuck in the middle of it, like the people in Gaza, being bombed left, right and centre. And because Netanyahu, and sort of understandably, I suppose, is trying to eliminate Hamas completely. Hamas tend to hide behind civilian sort of targets, don't they? You know, they go underneath hospitals and schools and things like that. Hamas are awful, of course, as well. You know, and I'm not defending Hamas. This is the other thing people have to understand. When you condemn someone like Netanyahu, I am condemning him. That doesn't mean say I'm supporting Hamas. Yeah, I just support not killing babies. You know, that whoever it is. Now, I don't know what the answer is, because I know it's a very complicated situation. But I just don't see, I don't like Netanyahu's sort of solution that he's using at the moment. And I hope that it's true that, you know, Donald Trump says he's sorting it all out. Let's see. Hope it is true. You know, and if Trumpy can do that, I'd have a lot more respect for him, or if he can help towards that. Anyway, that, of course, is all going on, and this is what probably has caused this attack. And like some Paul said earlier, you know, you get Jewish people who do not defend Netanyahu. There's still hostages there. I don't think he really cares about the hostages. He'll look upon the hostages as collateral damage. He's not, you know, those hostages that are left there. He, you know, as far as he's concerned, if he has to sacrifice a few people for the sake of actually obliterating Hamas, he'll do that. But you know, the thing is with people like Hamas, you're never going to obliterate them completely. You're just never going to be able to, because let's suppose he did. If tomorrow he killed the very last Hamas soldier, in 10 years there'll be more. There'll be more, because, you know, the children, they'll be older then, they'll be angry because their parents are dead or whatever, even more angry. You know, it's an ongoing, it'll never end. It'll never end. Dialogue is the only way to end these things. You can't, genocide will not do it. Anyway, so let's have a look what happened. I'm going to have a look at an ITV news item. Let's see. Oh, and I don't know if you saw this. Sorry, I mean, this guy, he would not move out of the way. There's a dead man lying on the floor next to him. He's just there watching what's going on. The police are dealing with the suspect, who's got this sort of what looks like a bomb around his waist, and then telling these people to move on. This guy's just stood there. Oh my God. Has any of you seen this video? But anyway, we're going to watch it.
On the most holy day of the year for those of Jewish faith, what twisted belief has led the suspect on the ground to make them a target?
Get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with casualties! Everybody else! He has the ball! Go away!
He's got a bomb on him!
So he's saying everybody out. I mean, you know, even if he's elderly, I understand what you're saying. Maybe he was a bit confused, but he's like, he said, it's like watching it like it was a telly or something. So this poor guy is deceased, I think, on the floor here. The actual perpetrator is there, and the police are shouting, "Get back! He's got a bomb, or he might have a bomb, or whatever." And the guy's just stood there. The great British public, oh, they're brilliant, aren't they?
He's already driven a car at people outside the synagogue in Crumpsall and attacked others with a knife. At least one victim is still lying on the ground. Now police take no chances given his third potential weapon, the suspected bomb around his waist. The gunshots proved fatal, but so did his attack. 2 victims dead, 4 others injured. Here you can see the suspect's face. He's been named tonight as Jihad Al Shamie, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. Behind him, we've blurred the...
Yeah, 35-year-old British citizen brought to Britain or came to Britain when he was very, very young. So, you know, what happened there? But the other thing so I looked up about the jihad. It is apparently a common name, and, you know, excuse my ignorance, some of you are probably out there saying, "Oh, didn't you know that?" No, I didn't. I did not know. So it's an Arabic name, and it's used in various Arabic-speaking countries, though less commonly than other names, as it is often associated with the term's significant religious and historical meaning within Islam. The word's origin means struggle or striving, and encompasses both an inner spiritual struggle against temptation and an outward effort to defend faith and uphold justice. Yeah, I mean, I think if you were Arabic now, or, you know, you wouldn't want to call your child Jihad, would you? Because of the association that it's got. Be like calling, you know, a Christian, calling their child war, or, you know, kill everyone, or, you know, it's just, you know, just like, anyway, do you know what? It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. So it's derived from the Arabic word jahada, meaning to strive or to struggle. And in a religious context, it refers to the struggle to live a righteous life in accordance with Islamic teachings. And it is, in Arabic-speaking countries, it's a recognized unisex name given to children. But its use as a name has become less common because of its association with holy war in some interpretations and public consciousness. So, yeah, and then they've got some articles. My wife can never call my name in public. But let's have a look at this, actually. It might be interesting. Do you imagine, yeah, if you were called Jihad? And let's have a look where it says in this article. Imagine you're at a busy airport somewhere in Europe or the US. You're meeting your wife, let's call her Layla, after work, and flying off for a mini break. She's running late, so you sit down in a coffee shop to wait. Soon you're lost in thoughts. You don't see your beloved waving from across the terminal. How can she get your attention? Shouting your name would work, but if she does that, bystanders will panic. Yeah, could you imagine if you're sat in an airport and someone shouts across, Jihad? You know, you just like, everyone would just flatten down on the floor, wouldn't they, or run for the hills. I mean, you know, so it's not a good name to give someone, is it? And that's just the way it's become associated. Security will circle. Your law-abiding missus could be taken to a side room and interrogated for hours. And what's the problem? Your wife is a practicing Muslim, so she'd have the jihad on and everything. Hijab, sorry, the jihad. God, I've got the jihad on the brain now. And your name is Jihad. Yeah, nobody could call your name in public. Yeah, what's life like when your loving parents saddle you with a name that provokes shock, rudeness, or awkward jokes across much of the Western world? I mean, even in it looks quite interesting. I'm not going to read the whole article, but it looks interesting because, yeah, even in just normal life, not in an airport, you know, where it's going to cause, you know, you probably to be sort of forced to the ground and a gun pointed at your head. But just in normal life, like if you went for a job interview, or I don't know, if you're meeting if someone said, if I was talking to someone and I said, what's your name? And they said Jihad, I think it was a joke. I thought, when I saw that his name was Jihad, I thought, this can't be right, surely. Anyway, it is. It's a name. It's a common name, though not so common now, of course. I think if you had that name, you would probably change it. Anyway, his name is Jihad. So there you go. And you've got to wonder, nowadays, in modern times, if parents called their children Jihad, since it's taken on this connotation. Well, you just wouldn't, would you? Just wouldn't call your child Jihad in today's world, surely. You'd know that it'd be inviting trouble.
The worshippers in the windows. For all the attackers' efforts to take more lives, security staff likely saved them by stopping him from getting inside the synagogue. As others were taken to safety, who tonight still can't get back into their homes.
Initially, seeing a guy stood on the top of the stairs, and then as the police have approached, they've run into the gate of the synagogue, outside the vicinity though, but inside the gate. Shot him straight away.
It was hours before police could get near the suspect to identify him. First, bomb disposal teams had to be called in before what sounded like a controlled explosion.
Yeah.
In this picture, you can see a knife lying near the attacker's head. with the suspected bomb to his right.
Now, I just want to say it wasn't a bomb. So they had to do that controlled explosion. It wasn't a bomb, but of course, it was quite crafty in a way, isn't it? Because he's put, if someone's got those bags around his waist, he knew that the police would be the armed police be more cautious, about shooting him or whatever because of the possibility of him having a bomb around him, so that was a ploy, wasn't it, to give him more time. He knew the police would come sooner or later. He knew he was going to die. I just don't know how people, if I don't know those two boys that we saw on his Twitter account, if they were his sons, how selfish. So apart from killing, the Jewish people and what have you, how selfish to leave his own children like that and leave them a legacy of a life as the sons of a terrorist who murdered two people. Selfish, so selfish. It's disgusting to do that. Think of your children, at least. If you don't, you don't like Jewish people, you don't like Jewish people, but you shouldn't be going and killing them. And certainly you shouldn't, don't you like your own sons? You've subjected to your sons to a life that they're going to have associated, if those are his sons, associating as the children as his children. Fancy doing that to your own children. Even if you don't care about the Jewish people, for God's sake, you should care about your own sons. He's a selfish man, very selfish, horrible man. There's nothing in Islam, in the Quran, that says you can adapt things from the Quran just like you can from the Bible to suit whatever you want to say. But most Muslims are peace-loving. They don't want, he is a minority, not a majority.
One clue as to his motive.
This attack has been officially declared as a terrorist incident, and the investigation is now being led by counter-terrorist police. As has been confirmed by CT policing, we believe that the identity of the offender has been established, but until we are certain of this fact, it is premature to set out this detail at this juncture.
We captured what appeared to be further arrests in the surrounding streets. Police have confirmed they've detained 3 more suspects. This part of Manchester is home to Britain's second largest Jewish population, but it's home to other communities too. As in many cities, the potential tensions between them have been a cause of acute concern in recent years.
Yeah, there's a massive Jewish community in Manchester, massive. But, Manchester is a multicultural city. There's a massive Muslim population. A lot of the dialogue now, the thing is, people have to learn to live side by side, don't they? I mean, it's not going to change. You're not going to be able to throw out all the Jewish people or throw out all the Muslim people. That's just not going to happen, is it? So there's got to be, I know Keir Starmer's been on talking about more protection because, of course, his wife is Jewish. Or Jewish, I don't know, she's a practicing Jew now, but she is Jewish descent. People have to learn to live together again. They used to. Maybe there's just too many people now. Maybe it's just too many people, or maybe I do think that leaders, in general, especially now in politics, there's a lot of inflammatory leaders. And, people take, it's almost acceptable to say these horrible things on social media. And you've got people like Tiny Tommy Robinson. He's Jewish, isn't he? So isn't his real name Laxley Lennon or Yaxley Lennon or something? He's he lives in Spain. So, Tiny Tommy, he lives in Spain. He travels on an Irish passport. Where does he get his money from? He's there to sow division. If people can't see that, it's deliberately whipping up division. because divide and rule. Look, people look into the side of them instead of looking up at what's really happening. He's like in the pocket of the Zionists, and then you've got Nigel Farage. He's in the pocket of the Russians, and people can't see it. He's another one. He's like, he's got he going for Brexit, but he's got an alternative passport. His family have, he doesn't, and he's all over in America every 5 minutes as well. And if people think that Nigel Farage gives a toss about Britain, they're completely wrong. So it's all, that's two people that are causing division in Britain or fueling it. They're not causing it. I mean, people have got legitimate grievances. I know that, about immigration, etc. But when somebody's fanning the flames like that, terrible, and people should be leaders. If Nigel Farage wants to be Prime Minister in the UK, he should be toning down, calming down the rhetoric and trying to encourage. You're not going to do what's going to do, just evacuate half of the UK or however many immigrants there are, and now he's talking about people even like from that nobody's got a guaranteed status, even if they've been there all their lives or whatever. So, anyway, so for me, leaders, they should be trying to make things better, not make things worse, because everyone's terrified of going out the door at the moment.
Years, the fear that global events could make people local targets of hatred. This afternoon, the Prime Minister flew home from a European summit in Denmark to chair an emergency meeting and reassure the Jewish community.
To every Jewish person in this country, I also want to say this. I know how much fear you will be holding inside of you. I really do. And so on behalf of our country, I express my solidarity, but also my sadness that you still have to live with these fears. Nobody should have to do that.
Yom Kippur is a time of repentance for Jewish people, of confessing sins. But as they worship in Crumpsall tonight, who will atone for the violence committed against them?
Well, Ben's here with me now. He's been following the latest on the police investigation this evening. And Ben, we've had quite a lot of information in the past hour or so. What more have we learned?
Yeah, really substantial update from counter-terrorism policing in the last hour or so. Confirmation of the identity of the attacker, of course, the most significant detail. Police say although formal identification hasn't taken place, they do believe that he is this 35-year-old man, Jihad Al Shamie. They say he is a British citizen of Syrian descent. We understand from what we've been able to find out about him that his family have lived in Greater Manchester for more than 30 years. Police have been seen searching his family home this evening. We understand he is a father. He appears to have worked as a tutor, teaching English and computer programming. We also understand his father is a trauma surgeon who has worked in war zones for a variety of aid agencies. Now, police say from what they know at the moment, there is no record of any previous referrals to the government's anti-radicalisation programme, Prevent. Meanwhile, tonight, police have confirmed they have 3 further suspects in custody.
Yeah. So, gosh, that was interesting. So I do feel for his family if they're not, radicalists as well. Feel for them. And so his father's a trauma surgeon who's worked in war zones. Gosh, he's been a teacher teaching, computers, etc. He's a father, so they probably are his 2 boys there, so it's very selfish to put all his family through that as well. Does he think he's in, where do they go? I don't know. They think they go, don't they, to wherever. I don't know. Where do Muslims go, or what do they call it, like heaven or whatever? The other thing that's scary is you cannot, like in most cultures or whatever, people are scared of death, aren't they? Or they're scared of going into prison or whatever. It's very difficult to fight against a religion that believes in glory in death. Do you know, like, he obviously went there and he was expecting to be killed. He wouldn't have thought he would survive it. He would know that he was going to get shot by the police. Of course he would know that. He probably wouldn't have gone, you know, peacefully anyway. You know what I mean? And he had the bomb thing around him. So, you know, he knew he was going to die, didn't he? Like a lot of these radical, they know they're going to die. They're not scared of dying. So, you know, didn't seem to be scared of leaving his children without a father either. I mean, what can you do with these people? But the police have said that they had no previous, you know, sometimes like the Southport attacker, he had contact, hadn't he, with Prevent, because they were concerned about, or his parents had reported him, they were concerned about the way he was sort of going, etc. But this guy, nothing, and he's well into his 30s, so he's a grown adult, he's not a daft teenager. So I just don't know what you do with these people. I really, honestly don't know. Let's just hear that again about his family. But I want to say a little prayer for his family as well, because if they weren't radicalists themselves, though why they called him Jihad, I'm not sure, but it may have been before Jihad had such a negative connotation. I do feel for them as well, and I certainly feel for his sons.
Now, police say from what they know at the moment, there is no record of any previous referrals to the government's anti-radicalisation programme, Prevent. Meanwhile, tonight, police have confirmed they have 3 further suspects in custody. That's 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. They've been arrested on the suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. We've also had...
A woman in her 60s, is that his mum, do you think? Is this a family thing? Oh my God. Anyway, I don't know that. That's pure speculation. So that woman in her 60s might be nothing to do with his family. But the 3 people, and also you've got to remember they might be put under arrest. Being put under arrest is not the same as being charged either. It just might be while they're being questioned.
Some more information about the injuries suffered by those who are still in hospital. They are 3 men. We're told 1 suffered a stab wound, 1 was hit by the car. The 3rd, police say, took himself to hospital with an injury that they believe may have been suffered when officers stopped the attacker, but they haven't confirmed the nature of that injury.
Oh, so there you go. So there's a lot that we don't know yet. So there's 3 other people in hospital. Two men died and 3 people in hospital. That was interesting what he said, that they thought one of the guys took himself to hospital, that maybe he was injured by the police. So, you know, that's why the police are trying to get everybody out of the way. People stand there, they can get injured. But anyway, that'll all come out, I suppose, in the wash when more information comes out.
Still a huge amount of police presence and activity, not least here, of course, but also at 2 other locations, including the one we saw pictures of just now, that are linked to those arrests tonight.
All right, Ben, thank you very much indeed for that. Well, because of the day, the holy day of Yom Kippur includes withdrawing from the outside world. Many Jewish people have been out of touch with mainstream or social media.
Yeah, so imagine that. So withdrawing from the outside world, you've got to do on this holy day. So that, you know, people in other synagogues or Jewish people all over the UK or all over the world, I suppose, because I suppose it doesn't matter which country you're in. You've got to withdraw from the world, so they won't have known about it. You know, all this be unfolding. And people have got to turn their phones off and things and not watch the news.
With nightfall and reconnection has the news from here reached some. If the attacker's intention was to divide and provoke, he looks to have achieved the opposite. There's been universal condemnation of his attack and indeed a coming together of the many strands of society in this great and multicultural city.
After a day spent without mobile phones or digital devices, many Jews emerged from prayer this evening unaware of the horrors that had unfolded at a nearby synagogue. Mark Levy's father was inside when the offender launched his attack.
I found out when my phone started going extremely busy. Ordinarily, Jewish people will not use their phone on this day. Immediately, you worry about your family.
Was your father actually in the synagogue when it happened?
He was in the synagogue when it happened.
Yom Kippur is the most holy day in the Jewish calendar, and Rafi Bloom was one of hundreds heading to the synagogue for worship.
Yeah, now we're going to talk a little bit about. I'm glad they're doing that because I've got to confess my ignorance about Yom Kippur, but so it's also being said that there would have been a lot more people injured or killed, but they managed to shut the door on the attacker and he couldn't get in. So again, that's a developing story. So, we have to wait and see for all the details that come out eventually. But that's brilliant, isn't it? That it sounds like his intention to kill a lot more people, because there were children in there as well. There were children in that synagogue. God, if he would have actually got in, what would he have managed to do? So that's good news. Some good news.
I had a phone call from a friend of mine to say there's been a terrorist attack at our synagogue. Stay away, make sure you call your wife and your children and grandchildren and tell them to stay away.
How is the Jewish community in Manchester feeling today?
Scared, terrified, and it's making the overwhelming majority of us question whether we have a future in this country for ourselves, for our children and our grandchildren.
He tells me how every Jewish school, every synagogue already has security, and those patrols have now been stepped up.
We're the only faith community in the UK that is required or that needs to have that. And that in and of itself tells a story. As a community, we've been expecting this for 2 years, but still when it happens, that sense of shock and fear is palpable.
But Manchester is a city that's been shaken by terror before and stood defiant. And today its people wrap themselves in blankets and each other.
Greater Manchester will never stand aside when one of our communities is attacked. We ask everyone to show solidarity to the Jewish community this weekend.
And while the shock...
Andy Burnham, King of the North. Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for Andy Burnham. Now, I've just looked on, because it seems like most of us aren't really sure what Yom Kippur was. Now, there was a war between the Arabs and Israelis that was called the Yom Kippur War. But now is the Day of Atonement is what it means in Hebrew. It's the holiest day of the year in Judaism. It occurs annually on the 10th of Tishrei, whatever that is, which corresponds to a date in late September or early October. And it has evolved into, so it may have been to do with the war to start with, but it's evolved into a day of atonement and repentance. Reminds me a bit of Ramadan, that sort of thing, isn't it? Reflection, confession, seeking forgiveness from both God and others. The day's main observances consist of full fasting, abstaining from physical comforts, attending extended prayer services, usually at the synagogue, and reciting confessional prayers. Some modern Jewish denominations, such as Reconstructionist Judaism, focus less on sins and emphasize personal reflection, goal setting, intentions for the year ahead. So that's some traditionalists link it to Moses, or some suggest it emerged later around the 5th or 4th century BC as a priestly innovation. So let's see. I'm only on Wikipedia, but you can find it obviously if you want to know more about it. But yeah, it's like a day where you've got to relinquish, got to fast, relinquish sort of worldly things.
Continues to sink in. Simon, who's just 16, says we must look to the future.
I think if anything, it will make the community stronger and pull us together even more, and it will show that every time we get knocked down, we'll come back up.
And in every corner of this community, that togetherness is clear to see. Amy Welch, News at 10, Crumpsall.
Robert joins me now from Downing Street. And Robert, we've heard the Prime Minister saying quite a lengthy address this evening that he will do everything in his power to guarantee security for Britain's Jewish communities. But what does that actually mean in the coming days in practice?
Well, he wants to show solidarity with the community. He and his wife, I understand, were at Synagogue at Shul this evening. She is of Jewish origin. I'll tell you a little bit about what they decided at the Cobra meeting. That's the meeting of senior ministers, which takes place when there is an emergency of this sort. One of the things they were intent on doing is put out as much information about the murderer as quickly as possible to prevent the kind of absolutely toxic conspiracy theories we saw after the terrible Southport atrocities. Now, they have...
Yeah, now, but the thing that we have to remember as well, they have put his details out very quickly, which is good because it's, you know what it's like. If there's no information comes out, people make it up, don't they? But the difference here, of course, is he is dead. So there's no court case coming up, is there? With the Southport attacker, they had to be, as soon as something happens and when the person is apprehended, if they're not dead, you've got to start thinking about the court case that's coming up. So you've got to be careful with the information that you give out because they are still entitled to a fair trial, whether, whatever. And it can jeopardize their conviction if they give out too much information. Now, they haven't got this problem with this guy. This guy is dead, so they're not having to, it's not, I mean, there may be criminal convictions come out of it, like for the other people that have been arrested. So, but as far as he's concerned, they can give out details about him because they're not going to be brought up in a conviction later on, and their defence lawyer's not going to be saying, oh, well, they should never have given his name out or blah, 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 blah. So they have been a bit freer to release details about him.
I've said that we've had a sort of background briefing which says that the man we know was a British national of Syrian descent. I think the relevant people in terms of this very heated immigration debate is he entered the UK as a very small child, granted British citizenship in 2006 as a minor. So those are some of the sort of basic facts that our politicians will be grappling with. The other thing they decided at Cobra was to significantly increase the police presence at synagogues, but also strikingly at mosques, because they are fearful of far-right retaliations on the Muslim community. There is a bit of a worry about the police being stretched. There is a rally in London in support of the prescribed Palestine Action Group, a group classified as terrorists, and there will have to be a large police presence there.
Yeah, then immediately afterwards, we had this Palestinian protest and whatever. And yeah, of course, the police, I'll tell you what, the police in Britain are at breaking point, because Britain's at breaking point for a start. All the hate, everybody hates each other one way or another. All the protests, the police can't cope with it. They can't cope with it because of austerity under the Tories, and now actually it's not much better now under this Labour government. It's still austerity, really, isn't it? They're not Britain is governed by bloody policed by CCTV. You see, it's like you never see. The CCTV won't help you in the moment that you're being murdered. All right, afterwards they might be able to find the person who did it to you quicker because they'll be caught on CCTV. But the police are too busy doing all these bloody protests and things, and they're not doing. People don't feel safe because the police are being strangled. In the sense of they're not getting enough. They've had so many cuts. over years, not just, over the 13 years of Tory government. And now, as I say, not much better now. The police do an important job. Everybody hates them, don't they? It feels like they can't win whatever they do. But at the end of the day, they do an important job. And, that perhaps they should be supported a bit more. I've really noticed the difference here in Spain. I said it often. There's police everywhere. You'd probably come here and think, oh God, is it a police state? Because literally, just before I went out and got petrol, I saw police. You can hear the police at the moment. Actually, there's a siren going. I take the dogs out for a walk in the morning, and the dogs are doing the police are doing a patrol around the campo where people walk the dogs. There's not a day not a time that I leave the house that I don't see police, and I live in a tiny little village. It's like God, but it's good because it does make you feel reassured. Now, they still have protests here in Madrid and the big cities and things like that. Well, even in my little village, there's quite often protests, and Spanish people like to protest just as much as British. It's a fundamental part of their democracy, like it's a fundamental part of British democracy. It's so difficult, isn't it, to decide when does a protest become a hate march? A peaceful protest is important, isn't it? But while the police are having to police all that, so they can't be at every synagogue in Britain, can they? They just can't do it. You just can't do it. So what's the answer to protect, the people in the synagogues? Because anti-Semitism is on the rise, but so is Islamic hate, anti-immigrant hate. All hate is on the rise. Crimes against women, it's a crisis. It's a total crisis for people's safety, not only Jewish people, but because there's such a hate culture. Feels like, why hate people just because of their religion? And the police can't cope with it. There's not enough police to cope with all the protests and then monitor all the synagogues or all the mosques, or make sure women are safe walking the streets at night, or young lads are safe from knife crime. Just chaos, isn't it? Something, I don't know, I don't know the answers. To me, though, the answers always lie in talking and dialing down the fervour and the hatred. Letting it all go and inflaming people is just going to make it worse.
As well. Then there is this issue signalled by the Prime Minister, but also that I talked to a number of other members of his cabinet about, which is how does the government combat the rise of anti-Semitism? And when you talk to ministers, it's not as though they haven't been aware of it, but the sort of gravity of it it seemed to me as only really dawned on them. One of them talked to me about how we are seeing this across the world. We've seen a rise in violence against Jews in America, in Canada, across Europe. One of the things, as a Jew, that I pointed out to a couple of ministers is there is this elision, this conflation in many people's minds between Jews and Israelis, and somehow Jews are regarded as supporters of Netanyahu and what he's doing in Gaza. And this is a form of anti-Semitism. And the thing I think that we have to sort of bear in mind, we've seen this awful rise of violence against Jews. We've also seen the terrible actions of Putin in Ukraine. We haven't seen a wave of attacks on Russians outside, in the rest of the world. So, governments everywhere are failing to grapple with or deal with this new wave of anti-Semitism. I heard fine words from ministers tonight, but not yet anything that even feels like a plan.
Okay, Robert, from Downing Street, thank you very much indeed. As the Prime Minister made clear, police have been placed on duty outside synagogues across the country. Reassurance, perhaps, but the shock and fear that has seized this part of Manchester has spread to Jewish communities far from here. It seems a dread.
So apparently Keir Starmer is back in Manchester. I've got Sky News on the TV there, and he's gone back to Manchester to visit again. And some sad news just for those of you who remember the series Keeping Up Appearances. Do you remember Hyacinth? I think we might talk about this tonight in the members live, because we're talking about nostalgia. But the actress who played her, she's died, but she was 96. So to be fair, she's had a long life. Long life well lived. I mean, to get to 96, and she was like a household name, wasn't she, at one point? I don't know if this series went over to other countries or not, but it was very funny. But we'll talk about that tonight in the members as part of what we're going to be talking about for the nostalgia. We're going to be talking about nostalgia tonight in the members. So, rest in peace, Patricia.
The divisions of the Middle East would end up imported here has come to pass.
Tonight, a Jewish community already on edge, now confronting its deepest anxiety, with synagogues across Britain forced to tighten security. Visible, unsettling reminders of a threat felt nationwide.
I'm feeling devastated. I'm feeling appalled. I'm feeling scared. I'm speaking to friends and family across the UK.
Another baroness, I'm sorry, nothing to do with it, but I'm sick of these baronesses and lords that, abolish the House of Lords. I'm sick of it. Why is everyone a baroness or a baron or a lord? All that grace and favour, I can't stand it. In fact, that's put me off wanting to listen to her, to be honest, so I'm not going to. I'm going to look at something else before we move on to the next subject. We're going to look at the timeline. And then we're going to move on to another subject.
A terror attack at a synagogue in Manchester. This is what we know. On the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur, congregants gathered at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Manchester. Emergency services were called at 9:31 after a member of the public witnessed a car driving towards people and one person having been stabbed.
I was impaired. I didn't see anything. I heard, because I live across the road from the synagogue. I heard bang, bang, and then we heard the helicopters, we heard the siren.
Greater Manchester Police declared Plato shortly after. It's a code word used nationally to signify a marauding terror attack. 7 minutes after police were called, officers reported firing shots at a person believed to be the offender. Footage shows them trying to clear the public away from the scene.
Everybody else, get back! If you're not involved, move back! Everybody else, he has the ball, go away!
I still can't get over that guy just standing there watching it. Bless him.
He's got a bob on him.
Initially, 4 people were reported to have been injured with stab or vehicle wounds, but at 12:15, 2 of those victims were confirmed to have died. A third person, the attacker, had also been declared dead.
We can confirm that 2 members of our Jewish community have sadly died as a result of this attack.
The bomb disposal van was at the scene following the incident, and at 1:40, witnesses said they heard a loud bang. It's not been confirmed what that was caused by. These images show the body of the suspect at the scene. A knife and what appears to be a bag are on the floor. A bomb disposal robot can be seen working next to the body. Police have said that the attack is being treated as terrorism, and 2 people have been arrested.
We have also made 2 further arrests. And based on what we know, counter-terrorism policing has declared this as a terrorist incident.
Security at synagogues had already been increased, but the fear of just this sort of attack was very real. In this community, it's become a reality.
So, I just wanted to talk about that, and you know, it's so very sad. Nobody, people should feel safe, especially when they're observing their sort of religious practices. They're not harming anybody. They're not doing anything wrong. You know, they're just there observing their own religious practices. And anybody, whether they be Jewish, Muslim, Christian, bloody, what's the other one? What's it called? The science. Those science people, or whatever your religion is, Mormon or whatever, you know, sure, as long as you're not harming anybody else, you know, you have a right to be safe anywhere, not only in synagogues, churches. You have a right to be safe when you're walking home at 4 o'clock in the morning if you want to do that. You know, everyone has the right to be safe, and to me, that's the primary concern of any government. Keep your citizens safe. There's nothing bigger, because if you're not safe, doesn't matter about other things, does it? Doesn't matter how good the economy is if you can't even go out and then spend the money that you know, oh, suddenly you've got all this extra money because the economy is going really well, but you can't go out because it's too dangerous out on the streets. You know, it's just, to me, the safety of all citizens should be the priority of any government. Okay, so thank you for watching about that. Now, if you're not interested in the next thing I'm going to be talking about, now's the time to click out, because I'm now going to be talking about the mushroom murderess, evil Erin. Evil Erin. Now, let's have a little reminder about this case. Gosh, you know, I don't really want to put her picture up. Let's see. I've got a picture of the victim somewhere. So these people up in the left-hand corner there, this was Don and Heather. Don, Heather, and oh gosh, the other name now is so it's Heather. Heather is the third lady along. She died, unfortunately. Her husband Ian, who's on the far right of the photo, not on the far right, on the far right of the photo, he survived, didn't he? He was Heather's husband. He survived, and Don and Gail, the first two people on that picture, they died. And this was the mushroom murder trial. So Erin Patterson, who I've put in the, let's have a look at her hellhole. I've put her in the hellhole because she invited them round to lunch. She prepared individual beef Wellingtons that were laced with death cap mushrooms, and three of them suffered an agonizing death from the poison and the poisonous mushrooms, and Ian Wilkinson was the only person who survived. So we've recently gone through Erin's trial. It took ages. It went on and on and on, didn't it? And anyway, to cut a long story short, I mean, there's all the videos are on my channel. If you've not heard of this case and you're interested in it, if you Google, not Google, but if you look on my channel and search for mushroom murders or Erin Patterson, all the playlist, you know, there's playlist of the trial, playlist of what happened, lots of videos. Anyway, finally, she was found guilty, thankfully. There was overwhelming evidence against her. Not one thing in particular, but the prosecution called over 50 witnesses to speak for the prosecution. This was the prosecution lawyer, Dr. Nanette Rogers, and she called over 50 witnesses with all incriminating evidence against Erin, which again, I'm not going to go through all of it, but bear in mind that her defense lawyer, Colin Mandy, he only called one witness, and that was Erin herself. There were no character witnesses called. There was no experts called to defend Erin. Nanette Rogers, she called many expert witnesses, and it was all damning evidence against Erin. Another person who spoke, of course, because he survived, don't forget, Ian Wilkinson survived. He's the only survivor. He had to have a transplant. He was ill for months. He survived. He testified, that Erin gave them different colour plates to the one she gave herself, that Erin lied and said she had cancer. That was the excuse that she gave to get them all to go there for lunch. They ate the lunch. They sat and prayed for her. She watched them eat every mouthful of that lunch, and then she sat there and let them pray for her because she told them she had cancer, but she didn't have cancer. So anyway, she was such a liar, wasn't she? It was lie after lie after lie, and she but of course she said that she wasn't lying now. So although she did all those other lies, like the cancer, and she said she didn't have a food dehydrator, and I could be here all day talking about the lies that woman told. But her defense was, she told, yes, she told all those lies, but she's not lying now. She didn't kill them. So anyway, the jury saw right through her. She was found guilty, and she was given a minimum of 33 years to serve without parole, which a lot of people were angry about because she should have life without parole. So really 33 years for murdering 3 people. That's only 11 years each, isn't it? And then nothing for trying to murder Ian. Also, it seems apparent that she often, maybe 3 or 4 times, tried to kill her estranged husband, Simon. She's not a good person. But anyway, that was never taken to court. I think the prosecution dropped those cases again for trying to attempted murder of Simon, because they felt like they had the better case of the murder of Don, Gail and Heather, and the attempted murder of Ian. So those cases were dropped, and she's not been held accountable for trying to murder Simon, though it seems apparent that she probably did. Now, the thing about Erin is she's a moneybags, isn't she? She's got loads of money. So she can afford a legal team. She's got properties. Anyway, so basically what I'm here to tell you is she is appealing. She's going to appeal. Because we've been waiting for this, because, she had so long to register an appeal. There's been a lot of talk about whether she would or not. But she is going to. And of course, there's also been talk that maybe the prosecution will launch an appeal asking for a longer sentence. Most people think that, 33 years and then the chance of parole, even though I know she'll be old because she's 50 now, so she'll be in her 80s. But, she'll still have a chance at life, won't she? These people, they had their golden years taken away from them. They were either retired or approaching retirement. They should have, they were God-fearing people. They were church-going. They were lovely people. They did nothing but help Erin in her trials and tribulations when she split up from Simon, her husband, is their relative. Gail and Don are Simon's mum and dad. Heather was Gail's sister, so it was Simon's auntie, and Ian was Heather's husband. Is, because he's still alive. So, really, it just seemed like a pathetic sentence, I thought, to give her any chance at parole. These poor people, they were doing nothing but good in their life. They were good people. They were going to church. They were helping Erin. Ian is a pastor. And when you see them talking, you can just tell they're just decent people, and she got annoyed with them. because she asked them, she wanted them on her side. I mean, the other thing that Erin did when she came into all the money that she came into, she lent money to relatives of Simon's, and that's a form of control, isn't it? She lent the money to buy houses, and I think then she would have wanted practically blood from them in like loyalty and whatever. And she got annoyed with the family because she felt they weren't sticking up for her enough in her estrangement from Simon. And she's, you know, nasty, snidey person. And she planned this. She planned it. She planned killing these old vulnerable people who should have been enjoying their retirement, etc. You know, probably worked all their lives, supported her, you know, probably supported her and Simon when they needed it as well, financially and emotionally. And then because she was annoyed that she felt they weren't supporting her enough, she, you know, came up with this murder plan. And it was planned. It was planned. And what I'll never be able to get over is she sat there and watched them eat those death cap mushrooms, knowing that when they left that table, they were dead people walking. You know, she said goodbye to them knowing. Anyway, then she concocted this big thing, like big story about, you know, one minute she'd never been foraging for mushrooms and she got them from an Asian supermarket. Then it was, oh, well, yeah, I did go foraging for mushrooms. I must have got them mixed up. Then it was, no, I've never had a food dehydrator. And then when the police found the dehydrator at the dump, oh, yeah, I did have a dehydrator, but I just panicked. Just lie after lie after lie. Anyway, so she's apparently going to appeal. So let's have a look. Just wanted to let you know that. I don't think she's actually done it yet, but they're saying that she's planning on appealing. And in her defence now, she's apparently going to employ a human rights lawyer. Honest to God, when I saw that, I just thought, a human rights lawyer. You know, what did she care about her victims' human rights? Makes me really angry, you know. Anyway, let's see this video. Got to
appeal her convictions. She was revealed. First to this breaking news, triple murderer Erin Patterson will appeal her convictions. That was revealed, I should say, during an administrative hearing at Victoria's Supreme Court, where Jack Nyhoff is standing by for us. Jack, do we know what the grounds for appeal are?
Good morning to you, Laura. A very brief mention in the Supreme Court of Victoria. Those documents have not yet formally been lodged, so it's unclear at this stage what grounds the legal team will be applying for that appeal, but confirmation from legal representatives today in court that they will be seeking to appeal that jury verdict which convicted Erin Patterson as a murderer. Now, there was 3 counts of murder during that hearing and 1 count of attempted murder. Of course, she was sentenced to life in prison, 33 years non-parole for that, which means she won't get out of prison at this stage until she's in her 80s. That's when she'll be able to apply to be let out. So very few details at this stage that we do know, but we know for a fact that there's a 28-day extension now that she and her legal team will be able to, of course, apply for that appeal, Laura.
Jack, thank you.
So
the communications regulator will investigate whether.
Are we going to have to go for? I mean, I just feel for Ian and the family of the victims, because are they going to have to go through it all again? Anyway, so a new lawyer apparently has represented Australians facing the death penalty overseas, and they come into the triple murderers legal team as the high-profile killer gets set to appeal. So this guy's name is Julian McMahon. He's reportedly working on her conviction appeal as a new deadline to challenge the verdict looms in 1 month. Mr. McMahon is a companion of the Order of Australia and a senior counsel and counts the heroin smuggling ringleaders of the Bali Nine among his highest profile defendants. An anti-death penalty campaigner, Mr. McManus received the Victoria Law Foundation Distinguished Pro Bono Service Award. So there he is. He's the guy who's going to be working on Erin's defence. Hi, ACW. I'm just having a look to see. I don't think I've missed anybody else coming in. Oh, David's back. I'm still here. I'm still live, and David's back. I hope you're okay. How did you get on? Oh, it was just for bloods. Okay. Who's this? Howard. Hi, Howard. Hello, Canada. So, what do we think? Oh, gosh, are we going to have to, this is how I feel. Are we going to have to go through all this again? God knows how the poor family of the victims feels and how Ian Wilkinson feels. So, in Australia's biggest criminal trial in decades, Patterson was found guilty earlier this year of murdering Don and Gail Patterson and Heather and the attempted murder of Ian with a poisoned meal of beef Wellington. I mean, what are the grounds that they're going to appeal on? I mean, I just don't know what grounds they're going to appeal on. But anyway, last month she was sentenced to life in prison with a 33-year non-parole period, and in the Supreme Court of Victoria on Thursday, another of her lawyers confirmed that she intended to appeal the convictions, and the deadline to appeal was pushed out to November the 3rd. In the absence of official paperwork, her grounds for appeal remain unclear. So at the 11-week trial this year, Colin Mandy led Patterson's defence, and now Mr. McMahon has reportedly been enlisted. So here are these poor people, Don and Gail Patterson. They should be out, doing their thing with their grandchildren, just enjoying their, as I say, their golden years, their twilight years or whatever. They were teenage sweethearts. They died within a couple of days of each other. It may have even been one day of each other. And, at least they're together now, hopefully together in heaven. Certainly nice people who never did any harm to anybody, did not deserve what happened to them. And, I hope they are together, bless them. But in the meantime, she's having an appeal. And then, of course, we've got Heather, who died, and Ian, he made that very impassioned statement saying about how all the, pottering around the house wasn't the same now because Heather wasn't there. They've been married for years as well. Ian's not a man who's ever been on his own. Do you know what I mean? It's like they've been a couple for years and years and years. And now he's got to be single. At his age, he doesn't want to be single, and also in the circumstances, he only just recovered, and the thing is, he received a transplant, a liver transplant, because those death cap mushrooms, they kill you slowly. They strangle your vital organs. And so Ian was lucky, I suppose you could look at it that way, that he was healthy enough to have a transplant, and it worked. Though he's still obviously, he was ill for a long time, and he's still not 100%. He'll never be 100%. And but the thing is, Heather was too ill to have a transplant. Her liver died inside her. That is what this woman did to these people. It's a cruel, horrible, prolonged, painful death, and they knew they were going to die. And then the hospital had to put them in a coma, and only Ian came out of it. And then Don, he did receive a transplant. He was considered well enough to have a transplant, but unfortunately he did not survive. And Don actually more probably of the meal than anybody, because Gail Patterson, his wife, she only ate half of this beef Wellington, and Don finished off the other half. But anyway, he was given a transplant, but unfortunately he died anyway. Whereas Gail, the same as Heather, was considered too ill to even be given a transplant. So, you know, both these ladies were just too ill. And in the meantime, evil Erin presented at the hospital, didn't she? Say she had a little bit of diarrhea. You know, they're dying in hospital with severe symptoms of nausea, well, vomiting, diarrhea, etc., pain, you know, their vital organs, you know, being strangled by this horrible poison. And, oh, but not Erin. No, she just had a little bit of diarrhea. She was at the hospital 5 minutes. And as soon as they mentioned death cap mushrooms, it was suspected death cap mushroom poison, she was off. So you imagine going to hospital and people telling your relatives that you had over for lunch are dying or on death's door. And you might be the next because you ate the same meal apparently as they did. You go, I've just got to go home and sort out my daughter's ballet bag. That's what she said. I mean, it's ludicrous. She went into this panic. She wanted to go home and hide evidence. I bet she could not. She thinks she's so superior, Erin, so clever. I bet she could not believe it when they actually mentioned death cap mushrooms to her, and she realised that they were onto her. And literally, they told her that she may need a transplant too. And she just said, oh, I've got to go and sort my daughter's ballet bag out and sort the animals out. Anyway, then she didn't answer phone calls from the doctor. So the doctor, he phoned the police because he was that worried about her, though he now says that he thought that she was a sociopath. He thought instantly she was guilty. And of course, he got into trouble for that. He's been reprimanded. Anyway, off she went. She went back a little while later, and then they said, look, we need your children in as well, because Erin has 2 children. They were supposedly had eaten the leftovers from this lunch. Erin was reluctant to take her children to the hospital. Could you imagine that? So your relatives are on death's door because of a meal that you've cooked that your children's already eaten. And the hospital say to you, look, we need to give your children a check over, and you don't want to take them. Come on. Just as clear as day, isn't it? It's crystal clear that this woman is guilty. So anyway, Mr. McMahon, as well as representing the Bali 9 ringleaders, was in a Singapore prison the day his client, Melbourne man, Van Tuong Nguyen, was hanged in 2005. And in an interview with ABC in 2001, Mr. McMahon described he and his colleagues' work as looking after people who no one else really wants to defend. Yeah, well, nobody will want to defend Erin, that's for sure. You know, the thing is, they have to have defence. I know that. You know, that's the bedrock of our democracy, isn't it, as far as court cases are concerned? Everyone's innocent till proven guilty, and everyone's entitled to a defence. And I suppose if he likes to defend murderers and drug dealers, that's his prerogative, isn't he? And he's against the death penalty. But do you know what? When he goes high west side, when he goes to foreign countries like Singapore, Singapore, they don't mess about, do they? Not only they've got the death penalty, they do it quite quickly as well. It's not like in America where you can be years and years on death row. They don't mess about. And I personally don't agree with the death penalty either. But I think if you're going to do it, then do it quickly, get it over with. Don't leave it it's just flashing up now on Sky News that one of the victims at the synagogue died after being accidentally shot by the police. I'll look at that in a minute when I finish with this. That's a shame, isn't it? That, oh my God, I'll have a look at that in a moment. Oh, how awful. But, you know, you saw how that those people were just hanging around when the police were trying to contain the suspect. You know, that'd be awful for the police person as well, won't it? Because to know that they've killed an innocent person by mistake. Anyway. So, yeah, while he wasn't in court on Thursday, Mr. McMahon has successfully argued appeals in the past. He got Akon Guodi's 26.5-year sentence with 20 years non-parole brought down to 18 years with a 14-year minimum. And that woman murdered her twin 4-year-olds, killed her 16-month-old, and attempted to murder her 5-year-old child. Oh, sorry, I can't go along with that at all. You know, that oh my God, 18 years for murdering 3 children and attempting to murder another one. Oh my God, what's going on in Australia, for fuck's sake? Oh, sorry, I could have, you know, it's just wrong. The case was argued and appealed all the way to the High Court, although Mr. McMahon represented Guodi at the Supreme Court stage. So, having been found guilty and sentenced in the Supreme Court, Patterson will be hoping her case is taken to the Court of Appeal. Once her lawyers file a notice of appeal, the Court of Appeal will decide whether to hear the case. So, this particular article, they say they've attempted to contact Mr. McMahon, but their attempts have been unsuccessful, and his office declined to confirm his involvement with Patterson. So I don't know. There you go. So I wanted to tell you that. Now I'm just going to comment on this story. From the synagogue. Because that's awful, isn't it? Let's have a look. So this is an emerging story, I think, on Sky News. Well, it'll be emerging on other news things as well. Right. This is a break. Like, God, you could be on all day talking about this. I can't be on all day. I've got to go shortly. But I just want to have a look at this. So one of the victims killed in the attack is believed to have been shot mistakenly by police. In a statement, Chief Constable Sir Stephen Watson says the force have taken advice from medical professionals overnight ahead of full post-mortem examinations later today. The Home Office pathologist has advised that he has provisionally determined that one of the deceased victims would appear to have suffered a wound consistent with a gunshot injury. And it is currently believed that the suspect, Jihad Al Shamie, was not in possession of a firearm, and the only shots fired were from the police, from the GMP's authorised firearms officers, as they worked to prevent the offender from entering the synagogue and causing further harm to our Jewish community. It follows, therefore, that subject to further forensic examination, this injury may sadly have been sustained as a tragic and unforeseen consequence of the urgently required action taken by my officers to bring this vicious attack to an end. And GMP have also been informed that one of the victims is still in hospital following the attack. One of the 3 victims still in hospital following the attack has also suffered a gunshot wound. Well, they've shot two people. Anyway, we've got to wait for fuck's sake. Anyway, sorry for my French, but the injury is mercifully not life-threatening. Both victims were believed to be close together behind the door when the attack took place. Yeah, because people were holding the door shut so that the guy couldn't get in. Oh my God. Our thoughts and prayers remain with all the families and the wider community impacted by this incident across Greater Manchester and beyond. So that's very sad. Very sad, isn't it? That's even more sad if Victor, one of the guys was actually shot by police by mistake. Anyway. Okay, that's it. I'm going to make lunch and see if number one son is feeling better or not. I'm definitely doing the members live tonight, so I need a bit of nostalgia as well. I think after all this bad news, and oh, it's a crazy world, isn't it? So it certainly is a crazy world. Certainly is. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about Erin's victims. Thank you for caring about these poor people that were attacked at the synagogue, and just caring in general. You know, we really have got to stop hating each other, you know, for nothing. You know, start getting on this. This is ridiculous. Too much hate in the world. Too much hate in the world. So I'm sending you all out a bit of love. A bit of positivity. I wish I could do more, but I can't. But I'm going to put a jazzy song on, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God, as always, go with you, whoever it is. But also, please respect other people's gods. Bye. Oh, I was going to put a jazzier song on, wasn't I? Let's see. Yeah, I've got to cheer everybody up at the end here, I think. Let's have this one. No, let's have this one. I've got so many songs. Got more songs than, I don't know, Barry Manilow. So, bye.
If you're smiling today, give a follow to help spread the play. Share the play with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide, don't hide. Join Vicky Marie's Ride Worldwide. Tap that bell so you never miss a dose of love and endless bliss. YouTube others, search my name, Vicky Marie. Let's grow this flame. Thanks for the support. You're the best crew. Now go tell the world you know what to do. Vicky Marie. Ha ha ha. You Marie. Ha ha ha. Let's glide now. Click that like if you're smiling today. Give a follow to help spread the play. Share the joy with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide. Like, follow, share, subscribe, don't hide, don't hide. Let's grow this flame. If you're smiling today, give a follow to help spread the play. Share the joy with friends everywhere, so more can laugh and show they care.